money, your taxes, your truck, and your road to success in the trucking industry. This is Trucking Business and Beyond, the show that puts the money where it belongs, back in your pocket.
Welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. The website is letstruck.com. The show is all about the business of trucking, and today is the Power Hour. I've got the guys from Pittsburgh Power. Looks like Ethan and Brian are joining me today. We'll take your calls and answer your questions about everything maintenance, engines, performance, fuel mileage, modifications, upgrades, troubleshooting, horsepower, you name it. We'll talk about it. All you have to do is pick up the phone and ask the question. We're going to get to those questions in just a little bit. Ethan, welcome.
Hi, Kevin. Good to be here.
And Brian, this is a nice treat. Welcome to the show for the first time.
Brian's running.
Uh-oh.
Brian's running a minute behind here, but he got hung up in the shop. A little extra there, being the shop foreman. That's always the fun job of making sure everybody has work to do while you're not accounted for there.
Work has to come before goofing off on the radio.
Oh, absolutely. I think we can manage a minute while we wait for him to catch up.
I think we have a few things to talk about. So since it is the week of the truck show, we might as well talk about the truck show. Who's going to be down here from Pittsburgh Power?
Okay, they actually left, probably about an hour ago now. Sean Church and JR are on their way with the show truck and trailer and, all the fun stuff to set up for the show. As you know, Sean Church is, one of our engineers here, and JR also works in our engineering department. He's the one that does all the dyno work at the moment for the most part. I still run a dyno run occasionally, but for the most part, he's the one that runs your truck. So if anybody who has a question that is going to be at the show about how the dyno works and the process who haven't seen it, JR's your guy to ask while he's down there.
Got it. And that's good to know. We talk about the dyno all the time, and we just assume everybody knows, but there are a lot of truck owners that have either never had a truck on the dyno or have never been there when it's on there. So they don't really understand the process. And your process is different with the way you secure the truck on the dyno is pretty amazing. There's nothing else like it. But anybody that's, put a truck on a traditional dyno where you've got to chain it down and get it up to horsepower and torque, and it's a pretty big deal the first time you see it. There's a lot going on. You guys have just such a great setup in your place. People should get there and see it. They should stop in just to see you guys put a truck on the dyno.
And for the most part, this week's going to be an exception, being we're missing half our crew going down to the show there. Typically, our dyno gets used every day. We use it in many different ways to problem solve trucks.
And it really is a good problem solver because it's as close as you're going to get to replicating what's going on when the truck's going down the road and without going down the road, and then you have all the equipment there to analyze. So it really is the best of both worlds. You can simulate real-world loads and conditions, but you have all of your equipment there to help analyze and troubleshoot.
You can also visually see what's going on. It's frowned upon to be standing on the back of a truck while it's driving down the road.
Yeah, it's been done, but you're right, probably not a good idea. Speaking of the guys getting down here and setting up, I think I've been recruited to help.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Bruce is getting his stitches out, so he's not able to do the heavy lifting there before.
Yeah, and I guess Pete's not feeling all that well, so you guys are kind of short-handed all the way around. So I don't mind, so I guess We are only going to do an hour today because of that, though. They need me to help set up tomorrow, so I've got to get some stuff done today that I had planned on tomorrow. So we'll do an hour. We'll answer as many questions as we can, and then we'll be here at the truck show. I'm sure we'll be answering a lot of questions at the show. So what, anything new and exciting?
Oh, absolutely.
Any trucks that cross your mind? Anything interesting happening in the last week or so?
Well, the one is we actually had a CM 2250 fuel pump. The ceramic pistons exploded inside the pump, and then that got into the oil, and so we're into a kind of a nightmare situation where now you have ceramic particles all through an engine. So that is extremely bad for many reasons, mostly being it's so abrasive that if it gets in between a bearing, which it did, it grooves the bearing instantaneously. And the particles actually get pushed through the filter, being that they're sharp enough that they can pierce it. Because we opened the filter and we didn't find any big chunks in there, but we definitely found chunks in the oil and through the engine so far.
Now, this is a common problem on that engine, isn't it?
And it's the whole reason Cummins got away from the ceramic pistons and went back to the steel ones. Their thought process behind it was good because the ceramic requires less lubrication, and being that the current diesel fuel today has less sulfur in it, it sounded like a good idea, but in reality, the long term wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, and, it's a shame that it's a fuel pump and, it would be bad enough if that fails, but when it fails, it takes out a whole bunch of other stuff with it.
Well, in this case, it failed where the bottom of the plunger, the ceramic plunger failed. If the top fails and it throws it into the fuel system, that requires all new injectors, all new fuel lines. Anything with the fuel system has to be replaced at that point.
Oof. Oh, what a mess. So is there a retrofit for this? If you have an engine with the ceramic pistons, can you swap them out to steel before it fails?
You can at that. They don't even make the ceramic ones anymore. So they forcefully say that if something happens, you have to replace it with the steel ones. Okay.
So would there be a way for somebody, if they have this engine, and what year and what, if this is an ISX, what years would this cover that you could possibly still have ceramic pistons in the fuel pump we're talking about?
I think, and don't quote me on this one, exact years. I know it's the early CM 2250s. I don't know the exact cutoff year where they stopped making the ceramic. I know the 2250s have them, and I can't remember how far they went in before they redesigned the piston there for the high-pressure pump.
Okay, so roughly what years? So somebody, let's give them a range.
It's going to be 2011 to about 15.
Okay.
Somewhere in there, it might be 14, but I know 2011, when they first came out, they definitely had them for the several years after that. So I'll have to look up the exact year they switched that over. I'm sure there's a service bulletin about that.
Yeah, maybe we could put out more exact information next week if you find some time to do that. But if I owned an ISX between 11 and 15, I'd be checking. And what's the easiest way to check to know what was in there originally?
A common shop can do that.
Okay. So VIN number, engine serial number. Yeah. Okay.
Yep, the normal there. And then joining me now here, Kevin, is Brian Moan.
Brian,
doing, Kevin?
Welcome to the program. You're a you're a PowerHour virgin.
Yes, I am. So go easy on me.
Oh, no. We always go really hard on the new guys. We make you answer all the questions no matter what they are.
Okay, all right. Right or wrong answer is just an answer, right?
Yeah, we charge for right answers, but we give away wrong answers all day long.
All right, good deal.
So no pressure or anything. I'm looking at the clock. Looks like we're going to head into a break. And when we get back from that break, we are going to get right to your calls and questions. So we will be back. Check out the website. It's letstruck.com. If you are heading down to the Louisville Truck Show, you have to stop into the West Wing. You'll find most of our maintenance-related partners there in the West Wing. Pittsburgh Power, Fleet Air Filters, OPS, Air Tabs. I'm sure I'm missing somebody and they'll be upset about it, but most of our maintenance-related partners are in that corner of the West Wing. I will be doing seminars every day of the show, and I'll also be doing appearances in the truckstop.com booth every day. So, and between all of those things, I'll be wandering around. You'll have to chase me down and find me. We'll be right back. Stick around. I'm Kevin Rutherford. Welcome back. I'm Kevin Rutherford. This is the Power Hour. I've got Ethan and Brian with me from Pittsburgh Power, and we're going to get right to your calls and questions. We're going to start north of the border in Canada today. Jills, welcome to the program.
Hi, Kevin. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Did I get your name right?
Well, Kevin? Yeah, it's Jill or Giles, however you want to spell it.
Got it. All right.
You can hear me okay?
You sound great. What can we help you with today?
Okay. Hi, Ethan. Hi, Brian.
How you doing?
Very good. I guess this question was more for John, but I have a deposit on a Dorothy I have a 2013 Peterbilt with the MX-10, I guess you'd call it. And I was just if you guys would know if it's going to be something that's going to happen, because if it is, I wanted to make an appointment and bring the truck in to have it installed and have a few other things done at the same time.
I can give you the update that I know. This week alone, we've got 3 installations in the shop, so we are working our way through the pre-order list there. We're doing pretty good at it. We've been working out the kinks in the process, but it is picking up its pace there. A little slower than we would like, but that's just life, is like I like to call it. Nothing goes according to Plan A.
Yeah, for sure. Because I was hoping maybe if I made the appointment, I wanted to bring it to you, and then I was going to go down and spend a few days for Spring Carlisle, so you could have the truck for a week. So I was hoping if that's something that works, if that gives enough time. I don't know if I have to talk to somebody else, maybe call the shop and.
Yeah, you're going to have to. Next week, John will be back in the office there, and he'll have a better idea of what the schedule will hold. But yeah, definitely dropping the truck off makes life a little easier to squeeze it in. So it'll give us a whole week to get the time there. It should only take, if it's a kit we haven't made yet, it's about 2 days. If it's one of the ones where we have the jigs built, it's about a day at most.
Okay, because I was talking with somebody in service the other day, and they were still saying maybe there was a EGR flow problem or just things weren't going very well, but maybe he was thinking of something else. Or
I don't remember all the little details there. That's John's project. I just kind of know where he's at.
Okay.
Hey,
If for some reason I can't get hold of John, is there somebody else I should ask for, Ethan?
You can talk to Eric in sales. He might have a pretty good idea, too. He does a lot of the scheduling.
Okay, well,
That's probably
okay, well,
your best bet.
I'll
Probably
next.
talking to Dawn next week.
I'll wait till next week and give a call and get that set up, and I'm just looking forward to getting this done and having this thing running and working right.
All right, somebody's got to help me out here.
Absolutely.
An MX-10, is that a 10-liter, or is that a model number of some kind?
I'm trying to remember, Kevin, but my computer's not cooperating here.
Well, good. I'm glad
Kevin, I believe it's the 13-liter. It's the 2010 emissions, so it's the first generation of that
Got
engine.
it. Okay. When you said MX-10, and I know that they normally name those engines like by the liter size, I thought, boy, I've never heard of an MX-10 liter, but a 2010 emissions. Okay, that makes more sense to me. I thought maybe I was just missing something. So thanks for that. Let's head off to Massachusetts. Doug, welcome to the program.
Yes, I have a question about a comment for 2016. I had a catastrophic crank failure, and I'm just wondering if you guys have ever heard of the counterweight breaking off the crank on one of the Cummins ISX.
I couldn't understand which engine you said you had, sir.
It's a 2016 Cummins ISX. It's the CM2350.
And you had a counterweight issue with the crankshaft.
Yeah, it broke off and was laying in the bottom of the oil pan, which in turn took out the motor at 345,000 miles. And I've just been told they've never heard of this happening, and I was curious if you guys have run into any issues with that happening. Or
I haven't ran across that myself. I know back when the ISX first came out, they had an issue with their putting pistons through the block, but I haven't had an issue, or I haven't seen personally an issue with the crank breaking like that.
Now, one thing that get checked, and I know this is Bruce's favorite part on the engine, is to make sure that the damper on the end wasn't bad from the factory. If it was dropped during the process before it was put on and the worker picked it back up and put it on, and I would change that part if they put a new crank in it, or in this case, the engine might have to all be replaced together.
It's getting an entire long block. When it went bad, it took out the block. It threw everything out of balance, and it beat the block to death. I was just curious. Everybody's telling me it never happens, and I just wanted maybe to see if the guys could kind of play around with higher horsepower. So it was only set at 485 from the factory for horsepower, so it wasn't turning a bunch of horsepower, and I was empty when it went bad. So
yeah, I would be curious just to cut the damper in half to see if it was locked up. That could propagate a crack in the casting really fast.
Okay. All right, well, I appreciate the info. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. Let's see. We're going to head into another call. We're going off to Indiana this time. Joe, welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you for the information that you provide.
You're welcome. What can we help you with today?
I'm having an intermittent vibration on an International 9400 with a C15. It happens, it feels like there's no air in the suspension, is that type of vibration. Where should I look to start to remedy this?
Well, I'll jump in with
if it is something.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, I'll jump in and then I'll let you guys. First off, we have to narrow it down by when it happens and when it doesn't happen. That way we can start to see, is this an engine-related, driveline-related, tire wheel-related? So have you kind of pinpointed when it occurs? Is there a certain set of circumstances?
No, there's not. That's part of what's baffling me so.
Well, one of the things you'll probably have to do is try to narrow that down. Does it happen only when you're accelerating or only when you're coasting, or both, and then you got to move on to something else? Does it happen at a certain speed? If it happens when you're going down the road and you can either, push in the clutch or drop it into neutral, does it go away? You're going to have to start, otherwise you're going to spend a lot of money on troubleshooting. And you could do a lot of this going down the road by just trying to isolate when it happens. Does it happen if you're bobtailing or only with a trailer on? So you probably, take some notes and really pay attention. Maybe we can come up with a couple ideas here, but normally when you've got something that's intermittent like this, you've got to start to really narrow down when it's happening.
Well, I never bobtail, so that part can go away.
Well, no, it can't.
Does it loaded or empty?
Hold on. No, what you might want to do is go bobtail the truck. Because if it doesn't happen, sometimes that's a suspension or a leveling valve issue. The truck might level differently without a trailer on it, and you might not get the vibration then. Those are the kind of tips and tricks that are going to save you money at the shop, if you can figure that out yourself.
That's exactly the kind of ideas I'm hunting for.
I would spend a couple days playing around with different scenarios, and then we could at least isolate. Is it an engine vibration, a driveline vibration, a suspension vibration, or a wheel and tire? Those are usually the four areas you're going to get something from. And if you can narrow it down based on some ideas like that, just trying different things and paying attention, then you'll spend less time and money at the shop.
Yes, and it's important to know how to recreate the problem. And in this case, if you know what it takes to do it, we can recreate it on the dyno and solve the issue.
That's what I was going to say. One of the nice things that Ethan was talking about at the beginning of the show was that you can visually see these things where you can't see going down the road. You can see something that's shaking or vibrating or doesn't look quite right. You've got a better idea where to go and what direction to go to.
Very, very good point. That is another nice benefit of having a dyno that actually gets used. Let me get to a break. We'll be right back. We'll get to more of your calls and questions right after this. I'm Kevin Rutherford. This is the Power Hour. Welcome back. I'm Kevin Rutherford. This is the Power Hour. I've got Ethan and Brian with me from Pittsburgh Power. I'm going to go back to Joe in Indiana. So, Joe, with some of those thoughts in mind, kind of give us a rundown of where you're feeling it, maybe when it does happen, any details you've got. Maybe we can help point you in the right direction.
It doesn't seem to make a difference whether I'm loaded or empty. But I always have a trailer, and it seems to happen on throttle or off at between 62 and 65 or 6 miles an hour.
So it's speed related.
But it comes and goes.
But we're going to start to narrow it down, though. So it's speed related, not RPM related. So it doesn't happen at that same RPM 2 or 3 gears down. It's only happening at that speed. Is that correct?
It doesn't seem to happen at that RPM at lower speed, no.
So that kind of starts to rule out engine, but one of the things you could do is when it happens, push in the clutch, or even better, drop it into neutral. And that way we isolate whether it's engine, because if the engine drops back to idle and you're still going 65 and the vibration disappears, then it could be engine related. If it stays there, then it's more likely driveline, wheel, something along those lines. So, and that would even eliminate a couple other pieces of the driveline if we drop it into neutral. So that's one of the things you could do the next time you feel it. You said vibration. Is it a what we would call a high frequency vibration or like a bounce?
More of a high frequency vibration.
So like fast, there's no interval in between, or very short intervals in between the vibration, right? That's what I mean by high frequency.
Yeah.
Probably not a wheel then, because a wheel out of round or something like that tends to give us a lower frequency, more of a bounce. Are you feeling it in the steering wheel, the pedals on your feet, or your ass? Or all of them?
More in my butt.
Okay. That tends to point us towards the back of the truck more than the front. So those are the kind of things you can start to do to narrow it down so that when you do go into the shop and you talk to Brian and Ethan or whoever you talk to at Pittsburgh Power, they can spend less time on the dyno trying to figure out where it is. Uh-oh. Brian, did we lose you? Oh, not Brian. Joe. We still have Ethan and Brian. Are you guys still with me? Looks like I might have lost everybody on the phones. Let me figure out what happened there. Yep, looks like I lost everybody on the phone, so it must have been on my end. Well, I will have to figure out what happened here. All right, hold on, everybody.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please enter your host PIN when finished. Press the pound key. I'm sorry, but I did not hear you press at least 4 digits of your PIN number.
The PIN you entered does not match the PIN you have on file for your account. Please re-enter your PIN. To start your show now, press 1.
It appears that the host has already dialed into this show. Only one host is allowed per show. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.